this article that I'm going to share with you that comes from the New York Times, I believe. Yeah. And the story is one that I've heard little bits and pieces, little rumors about. But the Times headlines it by saying Trump said to have reacted approvingly to the January 6th chants about hanging Pence. Now, that shouldn't come as a surprise to the MAGA filth who meant it, and to those of us who still retain some sanity, who understand the existential threat to this country that this filthy, filthy human being Donald Trump represents. But the Times reports that after hundreds of these scum started chanting when they were rioting at the Capitol, started chanting "Hang Mike Pence," the chief of staff at the White House, this miserable fuck Mark Meadows, he left the dining room off the Oval Office, walked into his own office, and told colleagues of his that were in his own office that the filthy bastard Donald Trump was complaining that Mike Pence was being whisked away to safety. Do you understand that? The orange vomit was complaining because Mike Pence was being rescued. And according to an account that was provided to the House committee investigating this attempt to overthrow the government, Meadows then told colleagues in that office that the orange vomit had said something to the effect of, maybe Pence should be hanged. Take that in. Now, the Times, trying to cover its ass, I guess, still resorting to the journalistic idea of providing both sides or an equal presentation of an event that really only has one side to it. But in that vein, the Times says, quote, it's not clear what tone Mr. Trump was said to have used, but the reported remark was further evidence of how extreme the rupture between the president and his vice president had become, and of how Mr. Trump not only failed to take action to call off the rioters, but appeared to identify with their sentiments about Mr. Pence as a reflection of his own frustration at being unable to reverse his loss. When you fully consider this report, does it? I mean, it's breathtaking to me. I mean, literally, where you have to go, oh my God. While we may have had a suspicion that this murderous, filthy scum, Donald Trump, was gleefully waiting to see Mike Pence hanged, we may have thought that. But here's the proof. That's exactly what this orange vomit was doing. The account of what Trump was saying and his reaction and how Mark Meadows reported it to his colleagues in the moment, all of that was provided to the House committee according to two people briefed on the committee's work, as this panel, as you know, is trying to develop a timeline of what the filthy orange vomit was doing during the riot. Well, we know one thing. He was cheering on the potential murderers who wanted to hang Pence. And another witness, Cassidy Hutchinson, who's a former aide to Mark Meadows, who was present in his office when he recounted the orange vomit's remarks, Cassidy Hutchinson was asked by the committee about the account, and she confirmed it. Again, according to people who are familiar with what the panel is doing. And as the Times reports, it's not immediately clear how much detailed information Ms. Hutchinson provided. But apparently she has cooperated with the committee in 3 separate interviews after she received a subpoena. And a lawyer for Mark Meadows said the lawyer, has, quote, every reason to believe that the account of what Mr. Meadows said is untrue, end quote. Well, what's a lawyer for Mark Meadows supposed to say? Mark Meadows knows that if he fucks up, Trump may pull a Putin on him and have him killed. That's a very real possibility with somebody as sick and fucked up as the orange vomit. I'm sure Mark Meadows has had discussions with his family, his close circle of friends, that his life is in danger. That's probably one of the reasons he stopped cooperating with the committee after inadvertently providing them with all sorts of information about this filthy son of a bitch, Trump. I can very easily come to the conclusion that word got to Meadows, you better shut up, motherfucker, or we are going to kill you, or some version thereof. And then a spokesman for the orange vomit himself, a subhuman named Taylor Butowich, criticized the committee's work. This is what the Butowich filth said, quote, this partisan committee's vague leaks, anonymous testimony, and willingness to alter evidence proves it's just an extension of the Democrat smear campaign that has been exposed time and time again for being fabricated and dishonest. Americans are tired of the Democrat lies and the charades, but sadly, it's the only thing they have to offer. End quote. Taylor Filth Butowich. Now, Butowich, in his filthy statement, didn't address the substance of the information provided to the committee. Of course not. And then a lawyer for Cassidy Hutchinson, former aide to Mr. Meadows, her lawyer didn't respond to a message seeking comment. But as you know, as this story unspools, this uber-Christian asshole who stared at the back of Trump's head for 4 years with a look on his face of, oh, Donnie, I just want to have sex with you. Pence resisted weeks of pressure from Trump and some of his allies to use his ceremonial role. There is no role. There is nothing that Mike Pence could have done constitutionally or legally to stop the official tabulation of the electoral votes. But none of that matters to fascist Christians. They are lying, filthy fuckers who don't care about anything regarding truth, as long as it satisfies Il Duce, their dear leader, the grunting, horrible Donald Trump. Trump, as you know, denounced Mike Pence's unwillingness to go along with that bullshit during the Orange Vomits rally right before the riot. And if you remember, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but God damn it, our country was almost taken by these Christians, these degenerate, filthy, human being burning Christians. But Trump said, quote, we want to be so respectful of everybody, and we are going to have to fight much harder, and Mike Pence is going to have to come through for us. And if he doesn't, well, that'll be a sad day for our country, because you're sworn to uphold our Constitution, end quote. It's either calculated bullshit or absolute insanity on the part of these fuckers who really believe that the election was rigged, or the Constitution says something about restoring this filthy, filthy, rancid bastard Donald Trump to the presidency. But it was a short time later that Trump's goon squad marched to the Capitol, and some of them were chanting, "Hang Mike Pence." And remember, the gallows was set up outside the Capitol building? Was that just for effect? Or was that really designed to hang Mike Pence? And that's when Pence, who had gotten to the Capitol earlier for his ceremonial role, and you've seen the video, as I have, he was escorted to safety to an underground garage, along with top congressional leaders of both parties. And during that, the orange vomit, this filthy son of a bitch, Trump, watched television through all this. And he was, according to testimony received by the committee, he was speaking approvingly of those chants as he discussed them with Mr. Meadows. God. Don't think for a second that there is a way to be too extreme in reporting what the orange vomit was saying and doing at the time. There is no way to be more extreme than the reality that we are slowly beginning to come to term or to understand, some of us. If Trump was shown hanging the severed head of Jesus Christ, his brain-dead followers would say, well, those are actors. That's not a real head. Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.